Hey there, folks. Welcome to another edition of Time About the Movies. We're into February of 1990, and unlike the last episode where we just had one movie to look at that I didn't know too much about, and I didn't even bother to put everything together for that one, we have more movies to look at, 5 of them this week. So let's not waste any time. Let's go ahead and jump right on into it. We'll start with the first movie, and that's Bette Midler in the movie Stella. Yeah, does somebody want to tell Hallmark Hall of Fame that Disney took one of their movies and blew it up for the big screen? I mean, let's be honest, that pretty much looks like a Hallmark Hall of Fame movie. It's one of those movies that you'd see on the Sunday night movie on either ABC, NBC, or CBS, and it wouldn't be much of a big deal on the big screen, but someone put it on the big screen, and it looks as schmaltzy and as gimmicky and as uneventful and mediocre and melodramatic as you can get. I mean, I like Bette Midler. I think she's a very good actress, but this is one of those roles that she picks where she thinks that it's going to be a great movie. It's going to be a movie that's going to continue to grow her acting chops, but it really doesn't. It feels like a movie that's been it feels like a forced movie. It feels like a movie that she picked because she thought, oh, this is going to be my successor to Beaches, and it's just like, no, Beaches at least has a heart to it. You can at least buy into the relationships and the chemistry between the characters in that movie. This movie just feels very manipulative, and we have a couple of manipulative movies on the show to look at, but this movie was just, this is a mess. This is a mess of a movie. It's got a good cast to it: Bette Midler, John Goodman, Stephen Collins, Marsha Mason, Trini Alvarado, but yeah, it's pretty schmaltzy, and it's very gimmicky, and it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work as a movie. It's just like I said, it's a Hallmark Hall of Fame movie blown up for the big screen by Disney, and it just doesn't work. So let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, and that is Dennis Hopper and Kiefer Sutherland in Flashback. Speaking of movies that are trying to be something that we've seen done much better, here's another Midnight Run. I mean, this is pretty much Midnight Run, except take Robert De Niro and Charles Grodin out of the picture and replace it with Dennis Hopper and Kiefer Sutherland. I mean, to the movie's credit, I guess there's stuff in here that could work. I do like Dennis Hopper's performance in this movie, and I think Kiefer Sutherland is okay here. But yeah, it's pretty much Midnight Run, except not as funny, not as clever, and the jokes they have in here, sometimes it works, but other times it's just kind of like these long jokes where you're trying to wait for the punchline, and the punchline is just like, that's it? That's all you got? I mean, that's just my thinking on it. It's a movie that a lot of people never even heard of. It was quickly gone as soon as it came out. And there you go. That's my thoughts on Flashback. It's a movie that had the potential to be something good, but it's just another Midnight Run retread. So on to the next movie, and the next movie is Bob Hoskins and Denzel Washington in Heart Condition. You know, I've said before that Denzel Washington is probably the greatest living actor we have right now. He usually doesn't pick very bad movies. This is one of those movies where he really missed the mark. This is a really, really bad movie, and again, has a good idea to it. Has two great people involved in it: Bob Hoskins, Denzel Washington. But man, they missed the mark on this big time. I mean, this is a mess of a movie. I mean, it's just a mess of a movie. Like I said, it has the potential to be something great, has the potential to be something funny, but it just doesn't live up to that. It just doesn't. The jokes aren't working. The chemistry just isn't there. The premise doesn't really work out as well as you think it should, and it just doesn't work. It's a movie that it's a movie that has a good. It has a good idea to it, good people to work with, but even that, when you don't have a good director or a good script to work it to make it work, it just doesn't fly. It just doesn't come together as well as I think they wanted it to. It's like, why is Bob Hoskins' character got to be a racist, bigoted cop? I mean, why do we have to do that? I mean, why do we think that that's funny to the subject matter at hand? But I mean, I guess the movie's credit, I'll give Denzel Washington this. He's not terrible in it. he's just given a bad. Neither is Bob Hoskins. They're just given a bad script to work with. This is a terrible script that they have to work with here. But yeah, another one that just came and went. Heart Condition. On to the next movie, Jessica Lange and Men Don't Leave. Yeah, this was that other manipulative type of movie that I was talking about earlier with Stella. And honestly, you could compare Stella and this movie to the... Honestly, right from the trailers, it's like, here's a movie about a single mother with kids going off on her own and all the crazy misadventures she has, trying to find the perfect man in her life, as well as watching these kids grow up as well. But here's the thing, though. I'll give this movie credit, though. There are more things about this movie that I was pleasantly surprised by than I was with Stella. Stella is, like I said, a Hallmark Hall of Fame movie ripped from Disney. But at least with this movie, this is a drama that's at least trying to be something different, trying to be something that's enjoyable, and I think does work for the most part. I think the casting in this movie works a whole lot better. I like Jessica Lange in this. You have a young Chris O'Donnell in here, Charlie Korsmo, who would later go on to star in stuff like Dick Tracy and Hook. Was he in Dick Tracy and Hook? I know he was in Hook, but I need to double check this. Okay, I was right. He was also in Dick Tracy. I mean, he's a very good actor. If you've ever seen him in Can't Hardly Wait and some other movies like this, he actually has a decent stack of movies from the 90s, and he's very good in here. I like the chemistry between Joan Cusack and Chris O'Donnell in this. Is it a great movie? No, it's kind of generic, but at the same time, I got more out of it than this trailer leads on. I think there is a lot more to this movie that makes it redeemable than the trailer offers it. It is a enjoyable movie. It's not one I'd go out and watch again and again, but I'm glad I saw it. I'm glad I saw it for what it was. So, if you like Jessica Lange and you want to see some good movies with her, I'd say definitely give this one a shot. I think it's a very underrated film. Let's go ahead and move on to the last movie, which is probably the best out of all the new movies that we had this week, and that is Cinema Paradiso.
Cinema Paradiso.
Cinema Paradiso really is the best of the new releases that came out this week. It's a great coming-of-age story about the power of youth, nostalgia, movies in general, seeing how the movies in this town, people in this town react to them. The casting in this is very well done. I like the actors in this. I like the visuals that this movie has. The music is very great, is very well done. This is done by the great Ennio Morricone and Andrea Morricone. You also have these striking visuals that I've talked about, but it's the visuals in here are just so amazing to look at. Even after all these years, they still hold up to this very day. And it's just a wonderful movie. It's a wonderful, wonderful movie. If you haven't seen Cinema Paradiso, I highly recommend checking it out. It's easily the best movie that came out this weekend. It's a great film all around. I can't recommend it enough. Cinema Paradiso. And with that said, that's going to wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies. Next time around, we'll look at the weekend of February the 9th. We have Steven Seagal in Hard to Kill, Gene Hackman and Dan Aykroyd in Loose Cannons, and Jane Fonda and Robert De Niro in Stanley and Iris. So we'll look at all three of those movies next time around. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, if you want to see more videos like this, check out the playlist for 1990 on the next page, check out the previous episode, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for the next new episode. So until then, take care.